Hey everybody, well, man, it's been a while since we've done TreeBot Talks, but hey, this is a special one, so we gotta bring it up. For starters, we did it! We hit 1,000 subscribers! Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. For one, thank you everybody that's been supporting me for these last 2 years, and the fact that I can keep doing this is all because of you guys. Just you guys got me here from point A to point B, all the shenanigans and craziness and yelling at David and talking crap about Nightbeat and it's all because of you guys. I love all you. This is great. So this is just a little thing that I wanted to do, a little reward, I should say, for you guys getting me there. We're gonna do a Q&A for the first time. We're gonna start with some of the questions that I just get out of the blue. And then we'll do some user questions because you guys sent in some questions. So we'll get to do that. So let's get started.
Question 1. Where the hell are you from?
For those who don't know, I live in Illinois, the southern part. Basically like cornfield country. Very, very rural area. Very small town of 1,800 people, but hey, it's home to me.
How tall are you?
For those of you who don't know, yes, I am very, very tall. I'm 6'7". I'm one of the taller people in the community for sure. I think the only ones that have me beat are maybe Gavin Spence from TRDQ. I think he's the only one bigger than me. I think he's 6'8". But yeah, I'm pretty big compared to most people in this hobby.
Do you play sports?
Do I play sports? Yes, I do, or I did and still do. I played basketball for the entirety of public school. I played really well. I was, honestly, I'm not one to brag, but I was our best player, which got me the opportunity to play college ball, and that's what I've been doing the past 3 years since I started this. The whole time I've been playing college ball, which is why the schedule's a little bit messed up when I do upload. But I really enjoy it. It's my second favorite, well, I should say one of my favorites, hobbies and pastimes, besides doing this.
Why do you hate LeBron James?
I hate LeBron James because, well, for one, he has made the NBA scene a lot more soft, and the way the game is played has changed very negatively because of him. And there's very much proof of that. Larry Bird always said that you should play the game, and as it came in, you should leave it how you found it. He hasn't done that, and it's also the way he carries himself on the floor. And as a player myself that's at a high level, it's really annoying to see him get very praised for how, even though he carries himself very horribly on the floor, especially with how he argues with calls and such. But yeah, that's why I hate on him so much, because, well, he just isn't a very good example of a good basketball player to me. So this is when we actually are going to get into the user comments and questions. So here we go.
This Toy Makes Me Happy says, who is your favorite cassette bot and why is it Steeljaw?
Yeah, I like Steeljaw, but actually, I like him, but I actually really like his Shattered Glass counterpart because it's funny, the way he was written in the Fun Pub comics, so that was cool. But my normal cassette favorite is probably either Slugfest, Ramhorn, or Ratbat. I really like those three a lot. I just like how unique Slugfest is as a Stegosaurus, and his color scheme is very, like, it's not quite Constructicon green, which is why I like it, I guess. And then Ratbat's just cool because he's a freaking bat. I mean, how much cooler do you have to be than that? And then Ramhorn, Rhino. You don't see a lot of rhinos outside of Rhinox these days, so.
Judge Jory Executioner says, why is your name TreeBot?
My name is TreeBot because, well, in high school basketball, I was given the nickname Tree, and my last name is Dollins, which is it rhymes with the NBA player Tree Rollins, so you kind of get where that was going. So from then on, the name stuck, and everyone was calling me Tree. And so that became my username. It was TreeBoy on a lot of stuff, a lot of various things, my PlayStation username and stuff. But then when I started doing this, I was like, I don't want to use TreeBoy because I want to keep this identity secret, kind of keep it separate from my friends and teammates. I don't want them knowing I'm doing this. Still don't really want them knowing I'm doing this. But so I just changed it to TreeBot. That's literally it, honestly.
Nod from Bot's Obsession wants to know what my holy grail or white whale figure is.
So recently I've been getting into a lot of Japanese G1, so this really should not come as a surprise when I say G1 Overlord. I keep finding them on Buy all the time, and every single time I get my dick kicked in an auction. I just cannot hang with anybody because my spending limit is obviously just $200. That's all I'm gonna spend. And as soon as like the hour mark comes in, 300, 400, 500, 600, like just tons of bids that are just out of my price range comes in, and then I just get blown out of the water. So it literally is my white whale figure because it gets away every time, just like Moby Dick.
Larkin wants to know what spiked your interest in Japanese G1.
So the draw to Japanese G1 for me is basically just because we don't really see a lot of it in American markets, or we didn't see it in American markets, but like you don't really see them in a modern representation either. You don't see you don't see Sound Blasters very much. You don't see Overlords very much. We just now got a new Overlord in Titan's Return, and even then that's almost been 10 years ago, And who knows when we'll see another one. And the fact that they're very interesting, like they're not like your average Diaclone toy or your average like late mid G1 toy. They have very unique things, and sometimes they just remold old ones to be better. Like example, I've got Sound Blaster here. He's a lot better than your normal Soundwave mainly because of this gimmick here. He can store more than one cassette. And I just think that's a very, very new spin on an old toy, and he just looks pretty. Like a lot of the G1, Japanese G1 stuff can just look nice on a shelf. And I think that's one of the big draws for me as well. It's just they look very unique compared to a lot of the other G1 stuff where it's just like, oh, hey, they're bright colored, or oh, they got a mouth plate again. But they're kind of all over the place in how they look, and some of them are very sharp looking or very blocky in comparison. They got a really unique gimmick, like Double Dealer's got the 2 Power Masters, but the way Overlord does it is very, very unique, So that's one of the main reasons I want to draw to Japanese G1 a little bit more.
Rain wants to know what my favorite subcategory or subline is. And he also asked if I've ever returned a figure.
My favorite subcategory of repaints probably is going to be the All-Spark Power, just because that's what I grew up with. That was what was on the shelves when I first got into collecting. Really big fan of the Cybertron repaints of that era, like the Ultras that came out, Jetstorm and Wingblade. Wingblade was my first Ultra class I ever had as a kid. But yeah, I think that's probably it. And a figure, I've never actually returned a figure before, believe it or not. It's besides maybe like whatever those weird one-step changer, like the crash, I think they're called the crash changers, the little things that came out during the movie verse and animated, where you roll it and hit the wall and then it'd spring up like that. I think those were one of the only Transformers I returned, and it was just because I didn't like it. Like I was never into the gimmicky kids toys. I was always mainline when I was a kid. Never got into the little gimmicky kiddie toys, even though I was really young. But yeah.
Name here wants to know, could you win in a fight against a black bear?
Yes. Just depends on what kind of gun he has.
King Tanaka says, what's the strangest figure that you've had to review so far?
Without a doubt, easily, it's got to be Kiss Player's Convoy. I have that whole release and background to that toy is just so left field, and just the fact that like Oshima is like a renowned designer for Takara, and he just came up with that off of just, I don't know what he was on at the time, but that has to be, bar none, the weirdest toy I've looked at so far.
King Blue wants to know who would win in a fight, 5 shockwaves or 1 small yellow fella.
If you're referring to Scrounge, I'm probably going to go with Scrounge on this, just because I feel like he would find a way to get out of it.
Magic Potato wants to know most disappointing figure that you were originally excited for.
The figures I think are, so that's a tie between those two. One would be Legacy Skyquake for me, because mine had a QC problem because I was so excited for it, took it out of the box, transformed it a couple times, and the shoulder joint just separated from the entire rest of the engineering there. I was really disappointed in that. And then, of course, none other than Thrilling 30 Nightbeat. I mean, I go on about that figure all the time. It is a lie in a box. Like, it is literally a lie in a box. If you look at the comic art and then see the preview, I think it was Hasbro Asia that came out with the preview for that. It's like, it was totally meant to be another figure, and they just changed it, and we still don't know why.
Hi, my name's Eric Bachman. I'm a lion.
Steve wants to know what is the best and coldest moment from any Transformer series you've watched.
Best moment for me would have to either be the forest fight from the Revenge of the Fallen, and Optimus chopping the mountain in half with the Star Saber and Prime was really cool too. Also, I really like the Armada final fight with Prime and Galvatron. That's cool. And believe it or not, this one's a hot take. The very well animated fight between Galvatron and Optimus and Energon. I really like that.
We Bought the Robot wants to know, if I had to throw away all of my Optimus Primes and keep just one, which would I keep? And he also wanted to know what interesting piece of engineering that I'd seen on a figure.
So, if I had to get rid of all my Primes and keep one, it'd probably be a tie between my Galaxy Convoy or this guy. I love MP44 more than a lot of people do, just because the pricing is way better on this than the original, and it's way more solid. And this thing still holds together really well, even after owning it for a couple months. It still holds together really well. And in terms of the best engineering I've seen on a figure, all right, let me think for a minute, because it was definitely on a Legacy figure, if I'm remembering correctly, more recently anyway. I would probably say that it'd be Armada Prime from Legacy, because he is just so, just like what we like. He's what we wanted out of the original, but modernized. And I feel like that's all he had to be, and his engineering is flawless in his midsection to do the combination. And it's like, why can't we just do that from the beginning, you know? Like, we didn't need the burning down of Bolt Matrix's house. Didn't need to do a million things. Like, I mean, it's cool that he does the minicon thing, but like, if we had just gotten what the Legacy had done years ago, like, we would be having a completely different conversation.
Spiky wants to know, do you think grilling watermelon is a substitute for meat?
I hate watermelon, so I wouldn't know.
Anonymous user asked, is there a figure you hate that everyone else loves?
A toy that I hate that everyone else likes, believe it or not, is Kingdom and Siege Mirage. I think that toy sucks. I don't like how it transforms. I think the way it transforms is very uninspired. I don't like how the arms form the spoiler. I think that's stupid. That really defeats the whole idea of aerodynamics, the way the spoiler transforms. It's just a big block on the back end of the car, and that just doesn't make any logical sense. And that's why my Classics Mirage still stands with my Generation stuff, because I don't want to replace it. I think it still fits in pretty well, despite it being kind of lanky. I think it still really fits in with the rest of them. So
I don't remember who asked this one, but is there any figure you absolutely love but everyone else loathes?
a figure that I love that everyone absolutely hates is, once again, MP44. He just, I don't know why people gave him so much hate. I mean, I get the QC wasn't there on the first one so much, but besides the transformation being very complex, there is nothing wrong with this toy. It's a very good representation of an anime style Optimus Prime, and it looks even better than the toy colors, I'm telling you. It's a great toy.
Damon wants to know what Japanese G1 have you acquired so far?
So far, in terms of Japanese G1 that I've acquired, I have Star Saber, as you can see up here, Sound Blaster, Jinrai and God Bomber, and then I have, I think it's Cezanne, the arm of Raiden. So yeah, I've got quite a bit of Japanese G1, and I'm sure I'll find more along the way, especially at BotCon soon.
Plane wants to know, are you?
Yes, I am.
Lord Giga Ice asks, what's one repaint idea that seems so obvious to you, yet neither Hasbro or Takara have never done it?
Takara and Hasbro have been doing the shattered glass stuff, right? And half of the time they've kind of missed their mark on a lot of the stuff. One thing specifically that I wish they had done that they didn't do was take the Earthrise or Siege Ironhide and make it into Soundwave. And I know they were big on wanting to have the chest opening gimmick so they could have a Shattered Glass Ravage, but like, I would much prefer them to actually use that mold, because they didn't do Sideswipe directly as another Dotson. They remolded him into the Armada style body. So I don't know why they wouldn't just do that.
That toy guy says brown.
Maybe? I don't know.
Jake asks, what is your opinion on MPM?
I'm not as critical on the MPM line as a lot of people have been. The Optimus is a bit problematic because it's using very aged engineering, considering it was based off of the Revenge of the Fallen one. But that engineering works better when you're designing it around an electric box. This does not have that, so it kind of suffers a little bit because they have to make other accommodations for pieces that have to go where the electronic box was. And since this doesn't have that, the Ratchet is a little bit complex, but it's fine. The Bumblebee is great still. Bone Crusher is one of the best ones they made so far. Barricade's fine. Ironhide is a little bit too complex, but he's okay. Especially you get the DNA kit, he's a lot better. He gets a lot more stable. Megatron is kind of hit and miss. He's got some problems. But Jazz, I think he's probably the most well-rounded of all of them. I don't have Starscream or Blackout yet, but since Blackout is based on his Studio Series toy, I think he is just fine. He's definitely a good figure. That figure was pretty good. And then Starscream, from what I've seen, he's good too. So I think people give the NPM line a hard time for certain reasons, which I really don't think they should, because that's a very solid line overall. There's a lot of good figures still in there. And considering that part of Masterpiece hasn't been revamped yet, I still think it's got a lot to give, especially with Brawl on the way. Brawl looks great, so I'm very thrilled to see how Brawl turns out.
The Deadpool Who Chuckles 6852 asks, if you had to be a KISS player, which Autobot or Decepticon would you choose? I just have one thing to say to that. Saliamucha hit Gulu 56. I don't know. They just asked what my favorite Transformers toy line is.
I would have to say probably my favorite toy line has to be the 2007 original line. And it's crazy to me to think that there's a lot of new fans that haven't really experienced it. And I would recommend them to try to track down some of those toys because they are really fun to check out. And not to mention, my favorite repaint is Nightwatch Prime, and that's the only place you can get that repaint, And it's just it offers a lot of variety too, because you've got those Cybertron repaints that are really creative. A lot of those homage various Micromasters, certain gimmick toys from G1. So there's some stuff for G1 fans in there as well, if you want to check that out. But yeah, that's probably my favorite line out there.
Spidey Superior Foe asks, who's the best horror con? It's gotta be 8-Face. Every time, it's gotta be 8-Face. Do not at me. Helpful Boss 5858 wants to know, what show or movie first got you into Transformers?
Yep, I've not been very shy about it on the channel, but I did get into Transformers through the 2007 movie. I mean, I am a 2000s kid. I was born in 2002. November of 2002, so I was 4, almost 5 when I first saw the movie. My cousin, who is about 4 years older than me, brought it over when I was having a big sleepover with my other cousins and our friends, and that was the first time I'd seen it. It was the DVD, and I was just absolutely smitten by that movie. And from then on, it was it was more or less my life. So I owe all of this to that one little interaction with that movie that night, and it had my attention. I know that movie front and back, every line of it, every single thing that happens in that movie. I know word for word. It's one of my favorite films of all time. Say what you want about it, I don't care. I'm not gonna listen. I think it's a great movie to this day. My family, it's one of our favorite movies to watch as a family. I mean, hell, we all went and watched it for the 15th anniversary, and I bought all the MPMs because of that movie, and I still have my Bumblebee to this day. I mean, here he is. He's loose. I mean, he's one of my first new format videos anyway, and then I do have a sealed version as well. It will never be open. This thing is very special to me, the fact that I have a sealed one as well. But yeah, this is probably my favorite area of the franchise. Regardless of quality, it's just has a very special place to me. Like a lot of G1 fans have, you know? It's a kinship we share. And I feel the same among a lot, which really, even though I know a lot of people that grew up with the film, I still haven't found anyone that's, like, besides people that are closer to my age, like the 4 and 5-year-olds at that time, I feel like they had the most profound impact, because a lot of them saw Cybertron or the Unicron trilogy before that, but a lot of us also just saw the first movie, you know, and that was all we had for a little bit until Animated came out, and Animated was great, but there's just something about that 2007 movie that still just gets me to this day. I mean, it's very, very special to me.
Lumine777 Productions wants to know, what is the worst and best Transformers media in your opinion?
I think the best show for a watch would probably be Animated, as well as Prime. And I think the Bayverse is also a good way to experience the show. And just throw a little bit of G1 in there. You don't have to watch the whole show, because I know it is trying in some places. But it's still a good show as well. I mean, it is the first. It's one of the best too. But those are the ones I would recommend. And also, I would say throw the Unicron trilogy in, but honestly, objectively, I think it's also the worst, specifically Energon. I think it is the worst of the official shows. Actually, no, I take that back. The Prime Wars is worse, as well as the Earthrise and Kingdom. I think it's, Kingdom's not as bad, but Earthrise, I think, is worse than Energon. And I also think that Energon tells a way better story than the Prime Wars as well as Earthrise. I think it tells a way more coherent story, even though there are a lot of mistranslations because of Japanese problems. But I think it carries itself a lot better and takes itself a lot more seriously than the Prime Wars, in my opinion. I would also say a good watch would probably be RID. That's a good one to just sit down and watch through, the 2001 version anyway. I mean, 15 just kind of goes with Prime, but hey, that's just my opinion though. I mean, if you got something else you want to throw in, I mean, post in the comments, I guess.
And even though it's not finished, I do want to mention the Skybound comic. I think it's a near perfect representation of the Transformers universe. I am really enjoying it right now. It's just not finished, so I do not want to say too much about it just yet. The Beige Power Ranger wants to know, what's your favorite weirdest shit or left field retool? And do you like Generations before or after the merger?
Weirdly enough, I think my favorite left field repaints would probably be G2 Pyro and Clinch in the BotCon set, just because they're so out there for those molds. Like Pyro kind of makes sense, but like Clinch from Onslaught, come on. Like that, I would have never have guessed that they would have used that, which that's one of the reasons why I want that set so bad, is because of those two. But, man, those are just really odd choices for me, which I love it, but it's just still strange to me. I think the merger has its ups and downs, but if I had to pick an era between, I would say I'd probably like the post better, because where we were before the merger, we were such a weird spot, because I'm alone in this area, I'm pretty sure, but I did not care for the Prime Wars trilogy as much as other people. Like, I liked Combiner Wars, but I thought Titan's Return was very overrated. It got very old on me as time went on, and I just did not care for Power of the Primes. I thought it was like the most mid line we've ever gotten. I mean, I like Darkwing and Dreadwind, but like that was almost the only thing I bought from that entire line. It was just a very weird time for me. But I would say before that, like the generations before the Prime Wars, I liked that, and I definitely still like where we are right now. So I'd say a little bit of both.
Spiky is just dying to know, would you consider shitting to be a sport?
Yeah, anything's a sport if you try hard enough.
JJ Prime wants to know, in the future, would you consider interviewing Transformers YouTubers live on your channel?
Honestly, no, probably not, because that's not really my bag in terms of content. I might do some live collabs once I get the technology to do so, but I don't see myself, I'm not much of an interviewer per se. I love being on camera. I mean, I love doing that. It's just hard for me to sit down and ask a bunch of, like, I just can't really see myself doing that. I don't know why.
Lex wants to know, do you have any third-party or add-on Holy Grails?
I don't necessarily have a third-party Grail anymore, because, I mean, I got it. It was the Powered Commander armor right here. It's not, like I said in the video, it's basically third-party royalty at this point. It's so representative of its time and what we really needed at the time before third party. Just it's like that meme where the guy's just like, one more, okay, that's enough. It's like, that's enough slices, you know. We've gotten so spoiled by third party to where it's replacing stuff that they've already given us, you know. It's not filling spaces. That's what third party was for to begin with. It was meant to fill spaces for things that you don't have. And now we're at the point where it's just it's not filling spaces, it's replacing things or trying to outdo stuff. And I just don't think that was the original vision for what Fans Project and Perfect Effect, like those, that's just not what I think their vision was initially, was to replace things. I think it was to make things better, for one, and two, to fill in things that they didn't really think that Hasbro was going to make. And at this point, Hasbro's made just about everything that they've offered now, to varying degrees of success, but it's just nice to know that a lot of these companies were still thinking about the fans, you know, and they were just trying to fill in things that Hasbro wasn't going to do rather than just outdo Hasbro, you know. But yeah, I don't really have much of a holy grail in terms of third party. I'd say probably right now it would be that Iron Factory Magnus that came out, or maybe the Roadbuster from Fans Project. I do really like that one. I like the way it looks. Or maybe their Diatlas. I've seen that a couple times in a few videos. I do really like how that looks, so maybe I'll give those a shot soon if I find them at BotCon.
And for the last question, This Toy Makes Me Happy asks, what is your dream HasLab?
Let's see, my dream HasLab would probably be, I think, honestly, would probably be a Primus, probably, if I had to be honest, just from the way that TJ Omega had described how he would want a Primus, and it really got me thinking a lot about it. and just the fact that like you could squeeze so many Easter eggs from different continuities into it, and it could literally make everyone so happy. Like, give it some hexagonal detailing here for the Bayverse fans. Give it the Primus face in his chest maybe for the comic and G1 fans. The Omega Lock for Prime and Cybertron. Throw some cyber keys in there. Like, you could just do so much with that if you made it into a HasLab. And I feel like, I know it's probably not going to happen, but I feel like that'd be a really good HasLab idea. So yeah, there's just some of your questions answered. I look forward to doing another one of these soon. I feel like we could do one eventually. But here's to 1K, and I've got something a little special planned for this week. You guys will really enjoy it. I've told a few of you that know me about what I'm going to do, so I think you guys are going to like this one. So with that being said, I'll see you next time. TreeBot out.